Buckle up, everyone, because today we're going to dive headfirst into this pretty heated debate that's been going on in the car world lately. You know, the BMW M5, it's back. It's got this new hybrid engine. And, well, let's just say some people are saying it's gotten a little
heavy.
A little heavy, yeah. Like maybe they hit the buffet a few too many times.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see this kind of push and pull, you know, between what we all think of when we think of a classic performance car like the M5 and like where the industry's going. You know, the M5 has always been about this like perfect balance of power and weight, but this hybrid version is kind of turning that idea on its head.
Yeah, and the numbers kind of back that up, right? I mean, the Sedan clocks in at 2,450 kilograms, and then the touring model is even heavier than that.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I've been seeing some pretty strong opinions online. Like, people are saying this is the end of an era for the M5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no question that it's a big jump in weight. And you can't ignore the fact that a lot of that comes from the hybrid system itself.
Right.
That electric motor and the 18.6 kilowatt hour battery pack add a lot of mass. I mean, Frank van Meel, the head of BMW's N division, actually said that the hybrid system adds about 400 kilograms.
Wow.
Yeah, and this isn't just a BMW thing either. This is happening across the whole industry.
So is this just a case of, you know, car guys being resistant to change, or is there more to it than that?
I think it's more than just that.
Okay.
I think there's this feeling of like missing that old school lightweight sports car experience.
Yeah.
That connection between you and the car, you know, when you can really feel every little thing you do translating into the car's movement.
Right.
And adding weight.
Yeah.
No matter how you try to engineer around it.
Right.
It's always going to change that dynamic.
And it's not just about the feel, is it? There are some real performance consequences, right?
Absolutely. Weight affects literally everything.
Yeah.
How quickly the car gets up to speed, how it handles in corners braking distance. And for a car like the M5, which has built its entire reputation on being like this precision instrument on the road.
Right.
Even a small increase in weight is going to be noticeable to the driver.
You know, that makes me think of one of the articles we have here.
Yeah.
It actually quotes someone from BMW saying, quote, "The M5 was designed in such a way that you don't actually feel the weight."
Okay.
So is that just marketing fluff, or is there something to that?
I mean, it's not like they've somehow figured out how to defy physics.
Right.
But they are working really strategically with the laws of physics. You know, I think of it kind of like a tightrope walker.
Okay.
Using a long pole to balance.
Okay.
They're not ignoring gravity. They're just figuring out how to work with it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what car makers are doing with these heavier cars.
So how are they doing that?
Well, they're using some really, really sophisticated engineering techniques. For example, they're using these super lightweight materials.
Okay.
Like carbon fiber in certain parts of the car to offset the weight of the hybrid system. They're also getting super clever with how they distribute the weight, making sure that the heaviest parts are positioned in a way that minimizes the impact on handling.
Does the suspension play a role in this?
Huge role.
Okay.
They're using these advanced suspension systems that can actually make the car feel lighter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, by keeping it more stable when you're cornering and accelerating.
Interesting.
You might have heard of active suspension systems. They can actually change how stiff the suspension is in real time.
Wow.
Based on how you're driving. It helps create a more planted and responsive feel.
That's pretty cool.
Even with all the extra weight.
Yeah. It's amazing how much engineering goes into making these cars feel lighter than they actually are.
Right?
But at the end of the day, you can't completely escape physics, can you?
No, not really. There's always going to be some kind of trade-off.
Right.
But here's the thing. The hybrid system isn't just adding weight.
Okay.
And it's also adding a lot of really cool features.
Right.
And this seems to be what people are actually focusing on.
Yeah. You know, speaking of the people who are actually buying these cars, there's this one fact that really surprised me, despite all the talk about the M5's weight.
Yeah.
It's actually selling really well.
It is.
Like, the order books are completely full, and BMW is having to make more cars just to keep up with demand.
That's right. And it's interesting because it shows the difference between what people say they want and what they actually end up buying.
Right.
It seems like on paper, everyone's obsessed with lightweight performance.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, there are other things that matter more.
Okay.
Things like power, brand loyalty, maybe even a little bit of wanting to be more eco-friendly.
I guess what you're saying is people are willing to accept a bit more weight if it means they get all those other benefits.
It seems like it.
And, I mean, let's be real.
Yeah.
Even with the extra weight, the new M5 is still an incredible car.
Oh, absolutely. It's got nearly 700 horsepower, and it's packed with features that would make any car enthusiast drool.
So is this the start of a new era for performance cars? Because it's not just the M5 that's doing this, right? I mean, there are rumors that the Audi RS6 and the Mercedes AMG E63, which are like the major players in this category, they're also going to be using hybrid technology pretty soon.
It seems like it. It really does seem that way. It makes you wonder, if all these big names are going hybrid, does that mean the end of the lightweight performance car as we know it?
That's a good question. But I guess the bigger question is, does it even matter anymore? Like, if they can use all this fancy technology to make these heavier cars feel just as nimble and responsive as a lighter car, then does the weight even matter as much as it used to?
I think that's a really, really interesting question. And it gets to the core of how we define performance in a car. Like, is it just about the numbers you see on paper? Horsepower 0 to 60 times lap records? Or is it more about a feeling? A connection between the car and the driver that goes beyond just the numbers?
And how does this move towards like hybridization and electrification affect that feeling?
It's tough to say for sure, but I think it's going to push the boundaries of what we think of as performance. Think about the instant torque you get from an electric motor. It's totally different from a normal combustion engine, Imagine that kind of responsiveness combined with the raw power of a hybrid system.
That instant acceleration. I heard people talk about that, like it's like being shot out of a cannon.
Exactly.
But I guess there are still those concerns about the overall driving experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially for people who really love that classic sports car feel.
Absolutely. And that's where the car companies really need to up their game. They need to find a way to add all this new tech without losing that visceral driving experience that enthusiasts are looking for. It's a tough challenge, but it's also an opportunity to be really innovative.
One of the articles we have talks about that. It says that BMW went to a lot of trouble to make sure that the new M5 still felt like a true M car. Even with the extra weight and all the complexity of the hybrid system.
Interesting.
They even did things like fine-tuning the sound of the engine to make it sound more exciting.
It's those little touches that can make a big difference. It's not just about how fast a car can go in a straight line. It's about how it makes you feel when you're behind the wheel. And that's something that's really hard to replicate with just technology.
And that brings us back to you, the listener. What do you think about all this? Are you excited about the possibilities of these new hybrid and electric performance cars? Or do you think we're going to lose something special in this push for efficiency and being more eco-friendly?
Because the reality is, this shift to electric cars is happening. And it's probably going to speed up in the next few years. Car makers are facing stricter rules about emissions. And people are becoming more aware of the environment. So the question isn't if electric performance cars will become the norm. It's more about what form they'll take and how they'll change what we think of as a performance car.
It feels like we're at this crossroads and the future of performance driving is totally up in the air.
It is.
Will these heavier electric cars actually end up being more fun to drive? Or will they never be able to capture the magic of those classic lightweight sports cars?
That's the big question.
Only time will tell. But it's exciting to be a part of this change.
It is.
And here's something else to think about. What if weight doesn't matter as much anymore? As electric motors get more powerful and batteries get lighter, what will be the new standard for performance?
Interesting question.
Will it be about how smoothly the electric and combustion power work together? Or how smart the car systems are? Or how well they can adapt to different driving situations? Or maybe even how sustainable the car is to build?
Those are all great points.
We
might even see a shift away from the traditional ways of measuring performance, like horsepower and 0 to 60 times, and move towards a more well-rounded view that includes efficiency, range, and even the environmental impact of the car.
It's pretty mind-blowing to think about all the possibilities.
It is.
Imagine a world where a car's performance isn't just about how fast it can go, but about how smartly it uses energy, how seamlessly it interacts with its environment, and how little impact it has on the planet.
That's a really compelling vision. And I think it's something that a lot of car makers are working towards. It's going to require a whole new way of thinking about how we design, build, and experience cars.
And so that brings us to our final thought for today as we move into this new era of performance cars. What features do you think will become the most important? What will define the performance car of the future for you?
Will it be raw speed and power?
Right.
Or will it be a more sophisticated blend of technology, sustainability, and that special connection between the car and the driver?
Yeah.
We really want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yes. Head over to our social media and share your thoughts.
Yeah, this is a conversation that's just beginning.
It is.
And we want to keep exploring it with you.
It really makes you think differently about what a performance car even is.
Yeah.
I used to think it was all about horsepower and how well it handles, but now I see there's so much more to it.
It's really cool to see how the definition of performance is changing right now.
Yeah.
And how all these different car companies are approaching it.
Right.
Some are going all in on electric while others are trying out these hybrid solutions.
And there's no right answer, is there?
Not really.
It depends on the driver, right?
Exactly.
Some people might really want that pure connection you get with a lightweight, perfectly balanced car,
Right.
while others might be more into the raw power and instant acceleration of an electric supercar.
Yeah, and then there are those who might find that perfect middle ground
Mm-hmm.
with a hybrid that combines the best of both worlds.
It's really interesting to see how it all plays out.
It is, the car world is like this giant laboratory right now with
Yeah.
all these different ideas and technologies being tested and refined.
Who knows what's next?
Exactly.
Maybe we'll all be driving flying cars one day.
Haha, wouldn't that be something?
Then the whole weight debate wouldn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, it's soaring above all the drive.
Exactly, leaving all those worries behind.
But even if we don't quite get to that Jetsons level of futuristic,
Right.
I think it's safe to say the future of performance cars is going to be pretty exciting.
Well said. So we want to hear from you now.
Yeah.
What do you think the future of performance cars looks like?
What features will be the most important?
Go to our social media and let us know your thoughts.
We'd love to keep this conversation going with all of you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions,
Yeah.
and keep those engines revving.
Or those batteries charging.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.